Hey guys, welcome to Ron's Reactions, episode 28, the 2023 outlook of the AFC South. We are brought to you by Fantasy Football Infinity, brought to you by Dynasty Theory, who's proud partners of Dynasty Daddy. Holler's here, McSpanky's here. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. Just getting ready for football to start back up here. I think training camp starts in like 2 weeks. I think the first batch of rookies report. So really looking forward to that. Holler, how you doing, man?
Doing well. I think it's the end of July. So, yeah, a couple of weeks. Can't wait. I might actually go down and go to Rams. It's at UC Irvine, so it's only like an hour away from me. And the tickets are free. So I was thinking of maybe going just to get a check it out.
Heck yeah, dude. I think the teams that play in the Hall of Fame game report July 18th and 19th for the rookies. So that's the Browns and the Jets. So I'm been looking forward to that one.
Awesome.
Just for DraftKings, some DFS. Because
yes,
I'm a
sir.
degenerate and I like to play preseason DFS.
I can't come fast enough, to be honest.
Yeah, somebody needs to hit somebody immediately. So start me.
I guess we'll think of it like that.
Yeah. So with training camp starting here, decided that for Start Me Up this week, we're going to go over some training camp situations that we want some clarity on. Not necessarily training camp battles, but it could be, or just whether it's injury updates or battles here. Holler, do you want to start with yours first?
Absolutely, yeah. So I picked the Dolphins running backs. Now, I think the biggest loophole in this one is if, of course, Dalvin lands in Miami. Now, I know like there's different. I think some people will say that, oh, that's going to hurt A-Chain, but I really think it would just remove Mostert or Jeff Wilson, right? I think one of those guys would leave, and then they would split just like Mostert and Wilson are going to do. But I think A-Chain is going to be that utility back, that speedster, because I think McDaniel loves running backs. They use so many in San Francisco. So I think it's going to be kind of like, like it has been. They've never really had the main guy there. So I think it will really depend. What I really want to see is how fast A-Chain can pick up that playbook. I think that will depend on how much they use him. And so I think if they do get Dalvin, that I don't think it's going to really hurt A-Chain as much as some people think. That might be just because A-Chain's kind of like my rookie, so I think that kind of be my hope for him. But that's just what I'm feeling.
No, I think that's fair, and I think they're going to use A-Chain more as the receiving back, anyways, which has never really been Dalvin Cook's game. So I think if Cook comes in, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's Mostert and Wilson that are probably the odd man out there, or one of them.
I think Mostert is the odd man out.
Yeah,
I think Wilson is too valuable as their between the tackles guy.
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, it'll be good to see what they do. But I think if I remember last year, Wilson is like their RB1, and then or you can call him RB1A, and then
go do the dirty work.
Yes, and then Mostert was RB1B, right? So they're going to go. Mostert would be the guy out, and then Cook would come on in, and I think A-Chain is going to be that the receiving back.
For sure. I like that there. What do you think the likelihood of Dalvin Cook signing in Miami is, if you had to put like a percentage on it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I would say like maybe 70% right now.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I think if he was going to do it, I think he'd have done it, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's holding him back? Like,
I think he wants more money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is more money, and there's no rush for them, for sure. So maybe it probably is less than 70%, but I just feel like that's the one place. And then New England's the other one, right? I've heard about. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not, but that's the only other link I've heard.
I hope he goes to New England.
I think it'd be pretty funny. I agree.
He does.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they would. It just seems very out of character for the Patriots and Belichick in general, just to spend money on a receiver on a running back. Usually they just draft some random dude in the 3rd, 4th round, and then just replace whoever else was there and just keep rotating them.
Wes, that's a good one as well. That was my other one in my head is the Chiefs wide receivers. That's a really good one. Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, with the Chiefs wide receiver room, I'm kind of thinking that I was kind of on the Rashee Rice thing, but Sky Moore's been getting some hype lately, and part of me thinks that it's just going to be a rotation of guys, and there's not going to be a true.
I don't think anybody's a stud there.
Since Hill, it has not been. It's all just been a mush. It just depends on the week.
Yeah,
I think this is very much by design.
For sure, you're going to want Kelsey, and then I'm sure receivers are going to have good games here and there, but it's going to be like good luck picking which one.
The correct one,
yeah. Yes, indeedy. What do you got going on here, McSpanky?
Yeah, so mine was less of a position camp battle and more just I want to get health status updates on specifically like big name running backs like Javonte Williams and Breece Hall are the two I put down here. We've gotten a lot of like kind of fluff pieces during the offseason of coaches saying, oh, they look good, or I think they're going to be ready to go. But I don't know if they're going to be ready or not. So, and this is one where I've actually been kind of preparing, just looking at my rosters. So when training camp opens, and we're going to see if Javonte Williams and Breece Hall, if they are ready to go day one, or if they're going to open up camp on the PUP. And if they do, if we get that alert saying like, oh, Javonte Williams is opening up camp on the PUP list, what I want to do is I want to be ready that for my rebuilding teams, see if I can pluck them away from someone who might have them at their maybe panic selling because they're like, oh man, I thought this guy was going to be ready. Now he's not ready. So what I've been doing is going to Dynasty Daddy, who's one of our partners, and just looking through the league power rankings and figuring out, okay, these are all the teams that I have that are classified as rebuilding. Let's just get ready, and then let's see who has Javonte Williams and Breece Hall in those leagues, and just wait for when that news drops so you're ready to go.
Speaking of partners, real quick, let me get in here, Holler. Speaking of partners, we talked about we were partnered with Dynasty Daddy. McSpanky, you're in Utah. How many partners do you have?
Just the one for me. Thank you.
Had to get that.
You're welcome. I really did. I had to get in here.
I was
super important stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, okay. I mean, do you guys think Javonte Williams and Breece Hall are gonna be ready to go? Like, what's your gut feeling on them?
I think Javonte will be. I don't think Breece will be.
Interesting. Okay.
I was gonna go the other way.
Oh.
Like I do end up. I honestly think both of them will probably start on the PUP, and we'll probably take some time to come back. But I've been hearing more about Breece than I have Javonte. And maybe I think I have more Breece. That's probably why. But I think I think Breece will be the one that if there is one that starts, I think it will be Breece.
Okay. Sure. I think Javonte got hurt earlier in the season, right? And I think Breece got hurt. I think they were pretty close.
Or something like that for Javonte.
But I think Javonte's was more of like a clear.
Did you take the whole thing off?
I think so. Yeah.
Took the whole knee off, huh?
Just chop the whole thing.
Just take the whole thing off. Amputate it. Be gone, knee. I don't know. I think I still want Javonte. I think that he's going to be in a Sean Payton offense that's just going to look to feature a back, and the only thing there is Samaj P. Ryan, and if he's any modicum of healthy, he's got to be slightly better than Samaje Perine, as much as we love Samaje Perine.
Agreed.
That's the thing with Javonte is like it feels like it's strange because him and Breece Hall both had the same injury, but Hall's value didn't really drop, but Javonte's has a ton.
Yeah,
like he's running back. I just looked it up. He's running back 16 on fantasy.
He hasn't done anything wrong.
And he hasn't, other than he hasn't really been on the field a ton. But
he was a stud on the field, though. Like he showed it when he was on the field, he was good. So, yep. And that's what you look for, and that's in this most recent startup that we all joined up in. That's what I was looking at when I was debating him. And then I took him. I actually did because I got him at 6'3", 603.
Yeah, he's really good value right now.
Yep. That's what I was gonna say. Is like I agree with you guys. That's the biggest difference. Is Brees has not lost any value, and so I think if you're going out to get one of them, even if both go on the pup, you're gonna easily get Javonte at a way cheaper price. So I think he's the better guy to go out and get. If you have Brees, you gotta have to hold him. I think because if he's gonna go on the pup, then people aren't gonna want to get him for cheaper value, and you haven't gotten him any cheaper value as it is. So I think you just gotta hold him.
What do you think you could get Javonte for right about now? Just if you had to throw out an offer.
Late one. Can a late one do it right now?
Maybe.
I wonder if you could go like Miles Sanders and a 2. Miles Sanders has a lot of hype right now.
Yeah,
that's true. I think that would work.
Yep.
Depending where your 2 is as well.
Yeah, early that's 2 probably you need, or mid. Definitely you mid need to a early.
Competitor for that one too.
Yeah.
For sure. I think
right,
Ron, what was the one you wanted to have?
So I want to talk about the Indy wide receivers. I know there's not been a lot made about Anthony Richardson's passing prowess, but he is going to throw the ball to somebody at some point. I'm kind of just right, maybe.
I sure hope so. Goodness,
I'm hoping that I just want to see who it is. Is it going to be Pittman? Is it going to be Downs? Who's it going to be? Some other rando that he's working with right now off to the side? I don't know.
I think it'll be Pittman. Because I think he's the best receiver in that room. But I don't think. I mean, we'll get to the Colts here in a little bit, but I don't know if there's a receiver I necessarily want in that offense, just because I don't think the passing volume is going to be very high.
I very much avoid Michael Pittman in that class, but
I have not.
Wow.
Like Michael Pittman feels like the new DJ Moore,
too.
Where it's like people love him, right? But then it's like, oh, if only he had a quarterback. But it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, well, maybe they're just not going to get one, and this is who he is. So
yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Pittman is their one, and I don't really think that's going to change. But I do think it will. What will change is like who Richardson's guy is, right? That's going to be interesting to see who he starts to develop with. And I think I personally think it's going to be Downs as that second guy, right? I know Alex Pierce is good and whatnot, but I think
that's the guy.
Yeah. I don't know about good is the right word, but
he's good at running straight lines.
Yeah.
I tell you that. He's got that trick.
So I think it's going to be Downs as that second guy. I think it's going to take time, but I'm with you guys. I don't really. There's not anybody on that passing game that I'm like, ooh, let me get him. I have gotten Pittman in some good couple trades that was pretty good. I think I traded away. Who was it? Jahan Dotson and another little piece, and I got Pittman. I think that's kind of like a toss up there. That team is like mid, so I was trying to I don't know, but I think Pittman's got another year on his deal, so I think the second year with Pittman is going to be pretty good. He'll be back.
Oh, I agree with Wes. Pierce is not the security blanket guy, and that's what I wanted to bring up about Josh Downs and his size, skill set, short area quickness, security blanket to me, and that's kind of why I agree with Holler. And Pittman is the better receiver of the two.
Yeah.
But Pittman's going to take all the coverage. He's going to see the best corner until somebody proves them wrong and beats them. Other than Michael Pittman, I don't think there's going to be much to fear other than him. So
yeah.
Well, and I think too, it really just depends. And that was what I'm interested to see is in training camp, like how do they tailor this offense? Because they brought in a good coach who's been working with Jalen Hurts, right, with Shane Steichen. Yep. They're going to tailor this offense to Anthony Richardson, what he can do. So whether it's whether he feels comfortable just like throwing up go balls to Alec Pierce, or if who just wants to just chuck 50-50 balls to Michael Pittman, or if he just feels better like with slot, like kind of quick like slants and stuff to Josh Downs. That's what I want to see, right? Is where how are they building this offense around him? I know there's going to be a fair amount of him running and Jonathan Taylor running, but how do they build the offense for those throws? What is Anthony Richardson's best throw? And I think they're going to tailor the offense to try to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. I don't want to get into too much because we'll hit Indianapolis coming up. But I was looking at JB's projections, and honestly, he has almost double the targets for Alec Pierce than he does for Josh Downs. Well, 30 more, but so almost double, which I think makes sense if you're thinking about it. But I think there'll be a little bit more information coming out after we see in training camp. So I think that's why that's a good one, Ron.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
For sure. Should we hit up the division here? We're going over the AFC South.
No news, huh? Boring week.
Oh, dude, it's been boring as hell, and everybody's chippy as hell in the freaking Discord.
Yeah, there's no news.
Somebody hit somebody.
Everyone's on vacation, just chilling out. So let's hit up the Jaguars. This is the division winner last year. I would kind of expect them to probably win the division again. I think they definitely have the best quarterback in the division. And I think they have probably the best offense. But I wanted to start with the running backs.
Yeah.
So, I did a little bit of research on Doug Peterson because I was kind of just curious. So he was the offensive coordinator for Kansas City from 2013 to 2015, and then he was the head coach for the Eagles 2016 and 2020. During those offenses, he's typically deployed like a 2-back system. Generally, the lead back gets around like 46% of the carries, and then the secondary back gets about like 23 to 24% with like some extra guys mixed in there. The thing that's interesting though is that like the Jaguars don't really have anyone besides Etienne and Bigsby, so I think those two guys are going to split the whole pie basically. I know they have it's Jermichael Hasty, and I think there's the running back they took last year, Snoop Connor.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snoop Dogg. I was gonna say, he had a funny name, and I was trying to remember what it was. So I don't think those guys are gonna get much work, like hardly at all. I right now have ETN projected at 48% of the carries, with Tank coming in at 41%. I almost picked this as my training camp battle to watch, just because I'm curious to see how they use these two backs. I know they're probably going to be on the field like both quite a bit, but who's getting the third down work? Who's getting the goal line work? And that's what I really want to see, right? And I think this might be similar to Seattle, where Kenneth Walker and Travis Etienne are the guys that are going to be like the home run hitters, but then like Tank is probably going to be on third downs and probably the short yardage back. Ron, you started kind of nodding there.
He's so excited.
Tank. I know you love him.
Tank. I've been banging the table for Tank since the pre-draft process, when everybody said that Tank ain't going in the second. Tank went. He got the draft capital,
but not in the second.
He got whatever. I'm talking about second round of rookie drafts. I know I messed up there, but he got the draft capital that I needed. You know what I mean? And that was super exciting. He got an awesome landing spot, because like you said, Travis Etienne is going to be the lightning to his freaking thunder, because that's all he does is just grind out dirty yards for everybody. He's going to be on the goal line. He's going to Jamal Williams in a very exciting offense. Watch.
I don't know if he's going to get that amount of touchdowns. So I have the touchdown split. I have for them is I have Etienne at 8 and Bigsby at 5. So I have them kind of splitting there. I just, with a lot of Etienne getting kind of longer running touchdowns, and then it's probably going to take a little bit, I think, for Tank to get ramped up into the offense. So I think early on, Etienne's probably going to take the majority of the workload, but towards the end of the season, I bet it'll be a little bit closer to 50-50.
Yep.
T-Law's sneaky legs too.
T-Law is sneaky athletic too, for sure.
He could steal some goal line work, that's for sure.
I'm with you guys as well. I think it's going to be like a 55-45, and I think Tank, once he gets into it, I think he's going to be the third down guy and the red zone guy. I was looking at JB's projections. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns for ETN and 4 for Tank, and 2 receiving touchdowns for ETN and 1 for Tank. So I think,
same as mine then.
Yeah, I think ETN could get maybe 1 or 2 more receiving touchdowns, and then Tank could get maybe 1 or 2 more rushing touchdowns, because I do think he's going to take over as that third down back and that running red zone back. So I do think Tank is more of that home run. The ETN is more the home run hitter, and Tank is more that big back. So, and I think with ETN, he already had an injury. They want to keep his longevity. So I think they're going to try to because last year he was used so much.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think that's why they went out and got Tank. They needed a good running back, a big running back. Neither of those guys, JaMychal Hasty or Snoop Connor, are going to do it. So I think that that he's going to be a really good compliment to ETN.
I agree for sure.
For Tank,
I think
Tank's
going to have a good season.
Do you guys know what number Tank's wearing? Do you guys know what number?
I think 4.
Oh, sweet.
Is that a good one?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, man. That's a good pick. Good pick, Tank. I like that.
I feel like I could have said any number there. And you would have been like, oh, that was a good one.
No. There's a few numbers out of it. Like, I don't know about that one, Tank. That's goofy looking. Like 39. Don't do that.
Speaking of some goofy numbers, Calvin Ridley is going to wear number 0.
For
the Jaguars this year.
A little goofy.
What are you guys thinking on this wide receiver split? Christian Kirk had a really good year last year, and they bring in Calvin Ridley. He's coming in a year removed from the suspension, right? So he hasn't played since October 24th of 2021. So it's been a long time, almost 2 years by the time he rolls onto the field in September. What are we expecting between these guys?
So if we expect Trevor Lawrence to be the elite Trevor Lawrence that he is, even if Calvin Ridley is half of what Calvin Ridley used to be, I think he's going to be pretty darn good on the season.
I agree. I think with Kirk, it's going to be a lot of the same as last year, right? And I think the one that's going to take a big hit is Zay Jones.
Sure.
Right. I think, I think it's going to be somewhere in that 100 to 110 targets for Calvin Ridley, and somewhere between 120 and 130 for Christian Kirk. And so Zay Jones will kind of get the rest. I mean, I know there's, Jamal Agnew there. So I think, he's nothing. So
he's a gadget guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think,
hey, the Swagnew is more than just a gadget.
Okay.
So Zay Jones will take the biggest hit. And I think it might take some time with Ridley, but I do think, he's going to be maybe, if I put a percentage on him, I think he'll be like around 75% of what he was before. Right. And that's still going to be good. I still think that's going to be pretty solid. I don't like where Ridley's going in any startups. I've been staying away from him. And and I traded away a bunch of them because, he was super high. I think I might have gotten a late one for him even.
Really?
Before if I remember correctly, yeah. So, I mean, I got some good value for Ridley. So, and then like Wes, I was just going to hit that. Wes said Kirk is a really good value right now, and going behind Ridley. And I think Kirk is going to do better than Ridley.
Insane.
I noticed like in best ball drafts in particular, Calvin Ridley's going in like the 3rd round on underdog right now. Whereas like Christian Kirk, you can get in like the 5th round, which
I couldn't. Like, I'm a crazy person, and I'm like, dude, no way.
I think people are just really hyping up Calvin Ridley, and I get it. Like I love Calvin Ridley too, but so I was doing a little bit of like research on him earlier today, and in 2020 that was his like breakout year. He was averaging 9.5 targets a game, 91 yards per game, and he was scoring a touchdown in like 60% of his games, right? So like over half of his games he was getting in the end zone, which is crazy. And then 2021, this is the last time we saw him play. We only played 5 games that year. His targets went up, right? He was getting like over 10 targets a game, but then his yards came crashing down, 56 yards per game, and in a touchdown only like 40% of his games. So the thing that changed, right, was Julio left. 2021 was the first year that it was Calvin by himself, right? And Julio was off in Tennessee. Also, Matt Ryan was kind of on his downward trajectory, and Ron, I know that's going to hurt. So
there was never a downward trajectory for Matt. It's fine.
The other thing too is this is like reading Calvin Ridley's like his like little like letter he wrote to like the Players Tribune or whatever.
They also totally changed that offense too.
They did, but I think the bigger problem is that he was benefiting from Julio drawing
Yep.
a bunch of coverage.
Probably. I mean, that's.
And so the thing I'm curious about is like, who are defenses going to roll their best coverage to? Are they going to roll it to Calvin Ridley, or are they going to go for Christian Kirk?
This is the Trevor Lawrence argument. If he is what we think he is, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why I think
that's how you see wide receiver 17 and wide receiver 22 up there, because he gives the guy the ball that's open, and it doesn't matter in his eyes.
I have them about equal. So in my projections, I know how you were talking about kind of the target range. So I have Kirk down for 128 targets and Ridley down for 132. So just about like even. And I feel like they're going to be, they kind of remind me of like, do you remember back when the Raiders had Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper? And they just
were both, Carr was legit.
Easy.
I mean,
they both would have good weeks, right? And then sometimes it would be a Crabtree week, sometimes it would be a Cooper week. I think we're going to see that a little bit, where sometimes you're going to have a Christian Kirk week, and other weeks it's going to be a Calvin Ridley show. So, but yeah, I do agree. I think Zay Jones takes the biggest hit here. Evan Ingram, I think, is still going to get good work, assuming he signs his franchise tag and shows up.
I was going to ask, is he signed?
He has not signed yet.
He has not signed. Yeah, I think
man couldn't catch a cold for 3 years, and then he decides he's going to hold out for all the money in the world. What? He just funny.
But I was going to say a little bit. I think Ingram does take not a big hit, but he does take a bit of a hit. I don't think he'll be like what he was last year. But I think, the biggest upside with him is he's a red zone guy, right? So he's going to get,
body.
Anywhere from, 4 to 6 touchdowns. And, his yards will probably come down a little bit. I don't know offhand what he had last year, but, I think he's going to get anywhere between.
Get 890 last year.
Yeah, that's gonna come down, because I think it's going to be closer to like 550 to 650. I know that's kind of a big range, but, I think that's around where he's going to go down. And that was a lot, but I think it's because he was kind of like that second receiver. Zay Jones isn't really a number 2 guy, right? So I think that's why Zay Jones is going to take the biggest hit, because he's going to go all the way down to like option number, I don't even know, 6, 5, because you got ETN, you got Ridley, you got Christian Kirk, Ingram, and then Zay Jones. So I think Ingram's numbers will come down a little bit, but there still will be solid numbers for that tight end.
For sure. And like
Jamal swag now.
Yeah.
Enough.
I think Ron, you love those like random like bottom of the roster.
He used to play for Detroit. He's a punt returner. He's electric. He really is when he gets the ball in his hands.
There it is. I was just gonna follow up on the Evan Ingram. So from some numbers, last year he had 114 targets, 890 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Going back to his time in New York, he was kind of in between 60 to 100 targets, generally more like in the 60s, which I think is probably going to regress back that way, closer than like the plus 100 targets. And then his yardage was generally around like 400, 500, 600 yards. So I have him down for 93 targets and 687 yards.
Interesting.
The targets. So
JB has him at 73.
I have a lot of targets just because.
I wanted to say 82.
I think they're going to let Trevor Lawrence just start hucking the ball over the field. And so I think there's going to be a ton of targets to go around. And
what happens when he drops it? And he can throw
it. But I think.
And he can throw it to
my argument.
Kirk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to say my argument's going to be that there's 3 other guys he can throw to before Ingram. Right. And so Ingram's going to be more in the red zone. I still think he's going to get his targets. Right. But I think if in my head, it's going to go 1A, Kirk, 1B, Ridley, depending on the week, ETN, and then Ingram, right? Yeah. So I just have a hard time thinking he gets that many targets.
I disagree a little bit. I think Ingram's going to be the third target on that offense, just because I think Kirk and Ridley are going to draw a lot of the coverage outside, which should open up to Ingram, who's basically a slot receiver. Okay. And then I think ETN and Bigsby, they'll get kind of the check down work, but I don't think they're going to get like the third target in the offense. I could be wrong, but I think that's just kind of how I see it. But I guess we'll get to see, right? And I think that's the exciting part. I think his offense is going to be good though, and there's going to be plenty of fantasy value to go around here.
Oh yeah, I still think
we tighten down.
I was going to just finish up, because I still think Ingram's a top 12 tight end for sure.
Yeah, I have him at 11, so. Right there on the fringe.
I think he gets a case of the dropsies again.
I mean, fair. Sometimes those
He
come back and
terrifies
get
me.
you.
I like having him, but yeah,
he's
nerve wracking for me. But anyway, let's tighten down.
Yeah. So from a good offense to this,
but they're gonna
Listen,
get DeAndre
Derrick
Hopkins.
Henry is a perfectly fine engine for an offense.
he is. So
And he is the only part of the offense.
let's talk about Derrick Henry, right? I have him pretty low. So
You
if
do?
you've looked at my projections, I have him down at running back 22, and I
Think he's
think
getting hurt?
people will see that and think that's bad. No, I don't have him being hurt. I just think he's been getting like 300 plus carries or like high 200 plus carries every year. They drafted Tajay Spears this year. I think they're going to use him more. I think he's the best backup running back behind Henry they've had like since he's been there, and I think they're gonna use him more and more. And without like a crazy high volume for Derrick Henry, he's not like the most efficient runner. He just gets a ton of carries. And I think if those numbers start to come down, he'll still put up good like yardage and touchdown numbers, but it's not going to be like the Yeti, like the 1,600 yards and like 12 touchdowns. Right. It's going to be
just
more
waiting
like
for November.
Here's 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, which is great, but it's like a running back 2 as opposed to like this dude's going to win you your league, and he is getting older. So I mean, at some point, Father Time's going to catch up to him.
I think
this is the year.
I will not bet against Derrick Henry. I'll never say that about Derrick Henry until I physically see it happen. I did it with Peyton Manning forever. I won't do it. Did it with Tom Brady forever. I won't do it. I won't do it anymore.
That's fair. I was curious to see like was there any like sign of decline in his game? And honestly, not really. Like
I thought he looked like he's still ready to truck everybody and their brother. So
his career yards per attempt is like 4.8, and last year was 4.4. The year before that was 4.2. Like it's not like he's like
he's not declining
bad or like he's lost a step even. It's just I feel like at some point, I mean he's coming up on his age 29th season here. They spent good draft capital on a running back and on a team that they had a lot of holes elsewhere, right? So they spent a 3rd round pick on Tajay Spears. I think they're going to use him more, and I think Henry's volume is going to come down. When that volume comes down, you're not getting those volume stats that you were accustomed to getting. And I think he's going to disappoint you if you're counting on him to be like your anchor running back.
And I think what actually is going to hurt him more is Tajay Spears than himself getting older, right? I think they're going to, like you've said, they're going to use him. They spent capital on. They're going to use him, and if what everyone said about him, they need to use him the first couple of years before Tajay Spears runs out. Then they're really gonna use him. I think because they want to get their value, and they kind of spent some of that good capital, and I think they're going to use both of them because Tannehill is not this great thrower. Getting older, and so I think they're going to use those guys and run the ball a lot.
Well, McSpanky doesn't think Tannehill's playing for very long at all based off his projections. What's that, 6 snaps for Ryan Tannehill?
So these projections are points per game, not like total points.
Oh, that's right.
So I do have him playing. So here's how I did it. I don't think Tannehill is going to start and finish the year. I think he starts the year, but I do think Will Levis takes over at some point. The way I had them splitting was they have a week 7 bye week, and I had Levis playing after the bye because I don't think the Titans are going to be very good. And so why continue to roll Tannehill out there if you have a bad offense? You spent what was it, like the 1st or 2nd pick in the 2nd round on Will Levis, so basically a 1st round pick. I know he wasn't technically, but it was really close. You're going to want to see what you got with a guy. And if you're not in a position where you're going to make the playoffs, and I don't know, man, like,
do you think that changes if they get Hopkins?
So that's the thing. Well,
that would just keep them winning and just keep Tannehill. That would just help.
That's what I mean.
If they do get Hopkins, then I bet Tannehill plays more of the year because they're probably going to be in contention.
Yeah.
If they don't get Hopkins, man, I don't know. But
it's
they also have
hard
because they have Derrick Henry too, and they have 2 older vets that are like win now pieces, but not like a
Yeah.
win now roster. So they're in this like weird limbo spot where like I don't know
It's the way they
what they're
play,
gonna
though,
do.
dude. Vrabel's going to
Yeah.
get them so fired up, dude. And they're
That's what
just
I
going
was
to go
thinking.
out there, and their defense is always legit because they just all have motors, man. And their defense is going to keep them in a bunch of games. So I think we see more Tannehill than we might actually think we're going to see.
That's fair.
Yeah, and
I think.
I was kind of going back. I'm going to do this on every team tonight. So I was looking at JB's projections, and he's got Tannehill playing 14 games, right? So I think it's going to.
Okay.
He just thinks with those projections, he just thinks the wheel like they're going to be around for a little bit longer, right? And I've heard just small rumblings of. I haven't heard more. It was I think around the draft of like maybe trading Derrick Henry, but I don't see that happening. I think Vrabel wants to win. And so I think he's going to get, like Ron said, get that team fired up. And I think it's going to take time before they actually are out of contention. And when they are, I believe that's when they will bench Tannehill and see what they have in Levis.
You're right. It might be like weeks like 16, 17, 18 where they've been eliminated, where you get to see Levis finally. But
I do think it's going to be like really hard to,
man. They ain't giving it up. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to project that out, right? And so it's like Tannehill is not somebody that I'm like, ooh, I feel good about having him as my quarterback 3, right? I would not feel good about that. I mean, if he does play longer in that, then sure, I think he'll be okay for your bye weeks. But I just feel like at any week they could switch to Levis.
Well, you guys want to get jiggy with it? What do you guys think about this?
I always love getting jiggy with it.
Let's go.
Dude, I've gone back and forth on Chiggy. Like I feel like I've seen the comps where it's like, oh, is this Alberto all over again? And I don't think so. Only because if you look at this offense outside of Treylon Burks, now it's assuming they don't get Hopkins, right? But outside of Treylon Burks, where else are the targets going here?
Yep,
it's got to be Chiggy, right? And
Phillips.
Yeah, I mean Kyle Phillips is fine.
Yeah, baby. Dude, I'm sitting like 60% Kyle.
Yeah, like Westbrook or Kenny is good. I think I said his last name close to right at least. But going back to Chiggy, so his last 7 weeks of the season last year, so he was a rookie. It was his first year. It takes a little bit of time to get it going. He started ramping up kind of his production, and he was getting 3 catches a game for 40 yards, which isn't a ton, but in 2 PPR tight end premium, like that's 10 points a game, and that was without like touchdowns. So if he starts racking in a few touchdowns, all of a sudden he's pretty easily a tight end 1, and like 3 of those games were Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs, who threw like 15 passes in those games. So I think there's a clear path for him to get some volume and to be to kind of take that step forward as like a year 2 breakout.
Yep.
Similar to Treylon Burks, I think. Where are you guys at with Treylon right now? Because he's pretty divisive in the community right now.
Yeah. So real quick on Chiggy before we move over to Treylon, I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm back and forth. Like just depends. Like everyone's all over the place, and both Treylon Burks and Chiggy, people are all over the place, right? And so I think it's the big reasons for both of those two is there's nobody else there, and so and they're gonna have a little bit better quarterback, right, than what they had that in the last 7 weeks. And if Chiggy can do that with Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs, then he can definitely do it with Tannehill and Will Levis if Will Levis comes in, right? And so I think Chiggy's going to be a solid option, but I do think Treylon Burks, I wouldn't say I'm all in, but I do think he's going to take a good step forward, right? I think you have him at 32. I would say I think he'll break the top 30.
Yeah. So I gave him, I thought pretty like high numbers. So I gave him like a 21% market share of the receiving targets, over 1,000 yards. The problem is I only have him down for like 5 touchdowns because I don't think there's going to be a ton of touchdowns to go around. So I think his ceiling's a little bit capped, but I think he's going to get a bunch of like the targets and he's going to get a lot of like yards. It's just the touchdowns are where you go from wide receiver 30 to like wide receiver like 14, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's why I'm just jumping him up a little bit to the top 30 because
Sure.
maybe the Titans suck in the last 6 games that Will Levis plays and they have a great rapport, and then they start to throw the ball a bit more. But I think with the Titans, it's hard because with Derrick Henry still going to be there, he's going to be the guy that gets the touchdowns, right? They're gonna rely on him. They're gonna like almost every down in the red zone, he's going to get the ball and he's going to take it into the end zone. So it's going to be tough for Treylon Burks unless he can, take it to the house.
For sure. And I think a lot of their games are generally like fairly close and not necessarily like, like shootout games either. So they kind of play like that Patriot style of ball, right? Where they're like, it's always a one possession game. It's fairly low scoring. Just grind it out. Yeah. So there's the receivers kind of suffer in those offenses a little bit, but
yeah,
I like Treylon Burks' talent. All the reports have been awesome on him this offseason that he's like, he showed up.
He got a better inhaler.
Good shape.
Yeah. He got rid of that asthma, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Something like that.
Good for him. Yeah. I'm nervous about Chiggy. I was just watching some Chiggy plays because,
why not?
Why not? Just
I said because why not?
Yeah. I don't know why. I know. I don't know why it couldn't be him, but the prices and like what you guys said, the Albert O conundrum. But he actually showed. Chiggy has more on the field than what Albert O showed. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The problem with Chiggy too is like he's valued at like tight end 13 right now on FantasyCalc. You're basically that. You're paying for like his ceiling essentially.
Yeah.
I don't think he can go too much higher than that. So
this is mostly my problem with Chiggy.
There's not a lot of like wiggle room there. Like you're not gonna like buy him and then his value's gonna skyrocket. It's kind of already like peak value in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely not a guy I'd have people go out and try to buy because he's at his peak and you're gonna have to pay a premium for him.
People love him too. Like you can't get him off of their rosters, and it's like okay, well I guess enjoy him. So.
Yeah, I should go see how much I have. Well,
that's what I was gonna say. Is maybe try to move off of him if I might look and see that because if people I think with him though you got to find the right person. Unfortunately,
yeah, you probably do. You guys want to saddle up?
Let's go, Richardson, baby.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty excited to see Anthony Richardson, that man freak, just out there running around and just sprinting down the field. He's gonna look like Derrick Henry playing quarterback.
He's built like a linebacker, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like I put this in the notes here, but Anthony Richardson's probably the only rookie quarterback I'm comfortable with if I have a contending roster and I'm reliant on. I think the rest of the rookies, and I know there's issues with him throwing the ball because he had like the worst adjusted QB completion percentage.
Oh yeah, like
since
ever.
since 2015 or something ridiculous. But it doesn't matter, I don't think, because they're gonna let him just like run loose, and I think he's gonna put up like super good running numbers, and it's almost like whatever he does through the air is just like a nice bonus. It's like, oh, cool, you threw for like 175 yards and a touchdown. That's cool. I also love your 100-yard rushing and like a rushing touchdown that you gave me.
Go look at Justin Fields' stats lines for his games.
I think Justin Fields is a better thrower, but
yes,
I get where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
I think Ron, you were just kind of saying, look at like the stat lines of
like the 125 and the 125, 125 passing, 125 rushing, and you got a touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown, and that's your day.
Yeah, that I think it'll be very interesting to see, like in some of the preseason games, how the throwing goes. Like that'll be really fun for me to watch because I have not a good amount, but
do it at all. That's what I do.
Just don't show it.
Don't show anybody.
Well, he'll probably. That's what I was gonna say.
He'll probably just 30 passes.
Jeez, he'll probably play in like maybe one or two. I don't know. We'll see, but maybe I don't know. Obviously, don't know, but he maybe will only play in one or two in the preseason.
Yeah.
But or we'll just look at see how it's going in camp.
Do you guys think Richardson plays week 1. I know the's been a lot of talk of maybe like because they have Gardner Minshew there.
They do
as
have
well.
Gardner Minshew. Man, he has that energy.
He does, and I don't know if there's like a benefit to sitting Anthony Richardson. I feel like he's his best like experience and learning is going to be getting him on the field as opposed to like sitting behind Minshew and just watching someone else play.
That's not like Minshew's someone that you want to like.
No,
you're like, ooh, I want to be like him.
You're not winning the game because Minshew's in there. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I personally think they're gonna go all in and have him start game 1. I wouldn't be I would not be surprised if Minshew plays like the first 2 games, but new head coach, I say why not?
I mean, they took him 4th overall too, so it's not like it's not like you have like a good contending team necessarily, right? So just let the kid learn and play.
The state of this division too is really like they could sneak a few. We just talked about the Titans and how bad you thought they were going to be. We know the Texans are probably still going to be bad, and the Jaguars, they could win the division. They really could.
It's possible. It's possible. I think Jacksonville would have to kind of.
They're gonna have to stumble, but it's I'm just saying it's not an undoable feat for them to win. Like I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't believe the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let that slip. They're still a young team as well. Where they have Doug Peterson though, which is nice for them.
JT, is he back?
Man, I don't know. I haven't done a running back 10 on the season. He just had ankle surgery in February. And now he has Anthony Richardson to compete with for carries. Before he's been like the only guy, so he's got a ton of volume. The O-line was supposed to be really good, and then last year it was bad. There's a lot going on there that's not necessarily in his favor, and he's still valued as like a top 2 or 3 running back in dynasty rankings. And I don't think those days. I think those days might be behind. Not to say he's bad, but I think his days as like a top 5 running back or like putting up like the running back 1 seasons are behind him. I think you can probably expect him to be kind of a lower end running back 1 probably for the next 2 to 3 years, which is awesome. But I don't know if I want to pay the price that you have to pay to acquire him right now.
I won't pay the price to acquire him, and I won't get rid of him for cheap either, because that dude will house it he'll house a 99-yard touchdown run like that. And that's the thing. It's with Anthony Richardson, running this whole RPO Shane Steichen deal, like that just opens lanes up for him, to be honest. And that just makes things easier for him. And we're talking about Anthony Richardson's lack of passing prowess. Does he look to hand that off a little bit more when he runs RPOs? I don't know.
I think it's crazy to me as well, because I'm with you, but it's only his 4th year, and we're worried about him kind of declining a bit, which I think it's a little crazy. But I'm with you a little bit, Jay. Like I think it's totally possible that he kind of reverts to like 8 to 12, right? I think his better days
of a running back.
Well, I need to see it a little bit, because like when he was playing last year, I just felt like he wasn't the same, and it's probably because of that O-line.
The O-line was bad.
Like there's a lot of bad things that happened in Indianapolis last year. The whole season was pretty much bad from the jump. For Indianapolis last year.
The other thing that went wrong though too is so he went from his rookie year, he had 12 rushing touchdowns. He had 18 rushing touchdowns. He only had 4 last year. Now, granted, I know he didn't play the entire season, but he still played a good chunk of it. I think the offensive line, just the offense in general, was just bad. And so the touchdowns weren't there. And his efficiency went down too. He went from 5.5 yards per attempt down to 4.5. So I think a lot of that can be pinned on the O-line and probably just bad coaching. So it's possible that this could actually with competent coaching, they could bounce back and get some. He could kind of revert back to where he was.
But for me, it's tough because he hasn't he's in the same spot as he was cost wise, and he's not somebody I want to go out and acquire until I can see it, right? And so in redraft, he's somebody that I don't know if I'll go ahead and get him. I think
Where's he
there's
going
might
in
be.
redraft?
I haven't done any, so unfortunately.
So in best ball drafts, he's typically like running back like 3, running back 4 off the
Yeah.
board. He's kind of going behind guys like
What is
CMC,
it?
Eckler,
CB
Bijan.
and
Where's
so it's
Saquon
4.
go?
Yeah,
Behind Bijan already?
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Bijan's
He's like number 2, 3.
Bijan goes
so
like
is.
running back 2 or 3, and like generally like in the middle of the first round. It's a little crazy.
Yeah.
Actually.
It is crazy.
He's going to get 900 carries in that offense because he
Ah.
is the offense. They're going to run the Wildcat by midseason because Desmond Ridder can't handle it. Just kidding. I don't know if that's going to happen, but wouldn't it be sweet?
That would be.
It would be
that
pretty sweet.
cool.
All right. I don't know if the Texans have any Texas sayings, so
They
let's do 'em.
They probably do. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart.
Yeah.
See, there we go. I think okay, so here's the thing with the Texans, right? I think everyone thinks that they're bad, because they have been bad for a long time. But I don't think they think they're going to be bad because
Right.
they traded their 24 first, right? When
but
they
they're
moved
still
up
bad.
from 12 to 3. Well, are they though? I think they might be sneaky competitive
In the AFC?
in that division. Yes.
Yeah, I think that division is a toss up.
We just talked about this division.
They get 6 games against, I mean, the Jaguars, whatever, but then like Tennessee and Indianapolis.
Yeah.
They're not taking down Tennessee.
They might.
They're not doing that.
Well, and they're bringing in they brought in a defensive.
They brought in a good coach.
Yeah.
They brought in the San Francisco offensive system with their offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
They have, I think this is the best coaching staff they've had in a long time.
Their offensive coordinator has never held the position. He just came from what? Pro Football Reference's website?
No, he was the passing game coordinator for San
Francisco. He's a passing game coordinator. Okay.
Yeah. So he was under Shanahan. So like I think that side of the ball is fine. I think the defense is going to take a step forward. They got, Will Anderson there. They have some talent. They've been slowly stocking up like draft picks. They got like the Derek Stingley Jr., that cornerback from LSU last year. Like they've been stacking some talent. The real thing here for me is, can any of these wide receivers step up and support this offense? Because I think CJ Stroud, can be good, but he needs some talent and some help around him. I think Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary are going to be like really good running the ball. It's just, is this passing game going to be good enough to help this offense along?
And honestly, I don't know who. Like I would love to see Mechie. It's going to be interesting to see in camp. I mean, this might be another good, solid, like wide receiver core to see in camp, right? I mean, I know, Spanky, you're not a big Collins guy, but I think
because he's not good.
He's a bomb. Thank you, McSpanky. Finally.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard some blurbs about Nico Collins getting a good rapport with CJ Stroud, but it's hard to see. I'll be honest, it's not. I don't feel comfortable being like, oh, it's going to be Nico Collins. So I think, honestly, if there's one guy that I had to pick, it would be Mechie, right? Or honestly, it might be Tank Dell because they went out and got him, right?
I've been sneaking some Tank Dell when I can grab some Tank Dell just because of that reason right there. Stroud liked him and he wanted him around, so
100%.
Figure what the hell on him. I don't care for any of these wide receivers, to be honest with you. And also, I think this offense pretty much plays between the 20s for most of the year. So all the touchdown totals are going to be low, and the yardage is probably going to look okay.
Yeah, it's fair. I think Dalton Schultz is probably the receiving option you want there. I think he's probably the most established guy. He's going to be like the safety net there. I think he's playing the kind of that George Kittle role in that offense. I think in terms of like the running backs, I think so. Dameon Pierce, I do like Dameon Pierce, but I think his touchdowns are limited, as you kind of alluded to there, Ron. But Devin Singletary, he's dirt cheap right now, man. Like,
I can't do it again.
I'm buying it, dude. He's
I bought in Buffalo.
I know, and he was fine.
I know, but they wouldn't give him the ball.
But, so one thing I would argue is like, think about, they're bringing in that San Francisco offense. So think about how many, like they use a good amount of running backs.
There's a reason they weren't giving him the ball.
I think it's a little bit of the scheme up there in Buffalo, and they had better runners, right? And I think they're going to use multiple running backs here.
Sure.
Not saying he's that good, but I think he'll be used.
I think Houston's offensive line is better suited for run blocking better than Buffalo's. Buffalo has a really good like pass blocking O line, I think.
Fair.
And it's just like the scheme in general. And Devin Singletary, like, he's not going to cost you anything. I was looking at some of his trades, trades earlier. Like I think you can get him for like any third round pick, basically.
That's so cheap.
Like, and he has the potential. And let's say Dameon Pierce, something happens to him, Devin Singletary all of a sudden was like the lead back in a decent enough offense. Like, I don't know. I think
he's people just say, "Hey, it's still Devin Singletary," and I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
we see those handcuffs happen. Oh, I get what you're saying. I completely understand. But I'm just saying, we don't see the value spikes for some of these guys because we've seen it happen for them before, and people are just like, "Nah, dude, we've already done this with Devin. I'm not doing it again."
Yeah,
right.
And I do think they're going to use those running backs, especially with having that rookie quarterback, a lack of wide receivers. I just think like with Singletary's value right now, I think he is just like Spanky said, a sneaky buy.
Plus, I think Singletary is going to get a lot of the passing work because Dameon Pierce isn't really a pass catcher, and I think Singletary is going to get a lot of the third down stuff. So
and they need CJ Stroud needs somebody to just dump it off. I don't know if that's
for sure.
Like, I honestly don't know if that's what he did.
Off by CJ Stroud.
No,
at Ohio State. I don't think he did really.
He didn't, but I think that was more a product of the offense. And when you have guys like when you're throwing to like Olave and Garrett Wilson and JSN, it's like you don't really need to dump it off.
Everybody's like streaking down the field, constantly open there.
It will be interesting to see if he does any of that, and if he does, then I think Singletary could be, a solid flex in guy like when you need somebody.
For sure. I would say like my thought is any contending roster, go to Dynasty Daddy, look at your leagues. If you have a contending roster, start throwing out offers for Singletary for like a third round pick and see where that gets you. It might not get the job done, but it'll probably get you a counter where you could add a small piece to it. And next thing you know, you have some nice running back depth there.
Yeah, I like that.
Indeed.
And then on the flip side, get rid of him if you are rebuilding.
Yeah, if you're a rebuild, you probably don't need Singletary.
Yeah.
Although he is still young enough that it's not terrible.
Yeah, but then I'm kind of with Ron there. It's like I think he's just gonna be a meh all the time. So he just.
But it could be good.
Yeah. I'll wait to see it.
Exactly. Well, should we wrap around up and get on out of here?
Let's do it. We will. Thank you guys for tuning in. Comment down below, like and subscribe.
Thanks for showing up, guys.
And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.